imagine this. A little girl, barefoot, bleeding, bursts into a diner, and the monster chasing her walks in right behind, smiling like he owns the world. What happens when the only people left to help are three rough-looking bikers everyone else would cross the street to avoid? Stay with me, because this true story will shake you and restore your faith in humanity at the same time. Welcome to Story Sphere. The diner door flew open with such force, the cowbell above it shattered against the frame. The little girl stumbled inside, barefoot on broken glass, her yellow sundress torn at the shoulder and streaked with dirt. Her breath came in ragged gasps, eyes wide with terror that looked too old for her small face. "Please," she whispered, then louder, desperate, "Please, someone, he's coming." The lunch rush had just ended. Only 5 people remained in the roadside diner off Route 9. Betty, the owner, wiping down tables with methodical precision. 2 truckers nursing their 3rd cups of coffee, and 3 bikers in the corner booth, their leather vests marking them as members of the Iron Riders MC. Everything stopped. The head of the group, a man they called Hawk, set down his fork slowly. His face was weathered by sun and road, eyes sharp despite 50-some years of hard living. Beside him sat Jonesy, built like a refrigerator with a gray beard that reached his chest. The third, a younger man named Cruz, had scars running down his forearm from a wreck 2 years back. The girl's eyes darted between them all, then landed on the bikers. Something in her expression shifted, not relief exactly, but recognition, like she'd found what she was looking for. "Miss?" Betty started, moving toward her. "Are you?" The girl shook her head violently. "He's coming right now, please." Hawk stood, his chair scraping against the linoleum. His voice came low, calm, the kind of steady that makes panicked people breathe again. "Who's coming?" "Mr. Garrett," she said, voice breaking. He said nobody would believe me, that I'm just making things up." The door opened again. A man stepped inside, casual, controlled. He wore khakis and a polo shirt, the kind of clean-cut appearance that screamed respectability. His smile was practiced, apologetic, salt and pepper hair perfectly styled, wedding ring catching the fluorescent light. "There you are, Emma," he said, relief coating his words like honey. "Sweetheart, you had me so worried." The girl, Emma, pressed herself against the counter, shaking her head. "No, no, no, no." The man's eyes swept the room, landing on each person briefly before settling on Betty. "I'm so sorry for the disturbance. My daughter gets confused sometimes. She has episodes." Hawk didn't move, but his presence seemed to expand, filling the space. "That right?" The man, Garrett, turned to him, extending a hand. "Richard Garrett. I'm a counselor at Riverside Elementary. Emma's been under my care at the school. She has some behavioral issues. Poor thing. Runs off when she gets overwhelmed." Nobody shook his hand. Jonesy shifted in the booth, his massive frame suddenly alert. Cruz's fingers drummed once against the table, then went still. Emma's voice came out barely above a whisper, but in the silence it carried. "He's lying." Garrett's smile tightened. "Emma, please. We've talked about this. Making up stories doesn't help anyone." Betty looked between them, uncertainty clouding her features. "Sir, maybe we should call the school." Emma said suddenly, urgently, "Call Principal Davies. She knows me. She knows I don't lie." Garrett laughed, but something in it rang hollow. Of course. Though the school day ended hours ago, Principal Davies has likely gone home by now." He took a step forward. "Come on, sweetheart. Your parents are worried sick." "My parents are in Seattle," Emma said, her voice steadier now. "At my grandma's funeral. That's why you picked today." The air in the diner changed, subtle but undeniable. Hawk's eyes narrowed. "Picked today for what?" Garrett's smile never wavered. "Look, I appreciate your concern, but this is a family matter." "I'm not his family," Emma interrupted. "I'm not anyone's family right now. That's the whole point." She looked at Hawk, and her next words came fast, desperate. He's been watching me all year since my parents started working late. He offers to drive kids home. Takes the ones nobody's watching. Her voice cracked. He took Sarah Martinez 3 weeks ago. She didn't come back to school. Everyone said she moved, but she didn't. I saw her backpack in his car. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Garrett's expression shifted, just for a second. The mask slipped. What showed underneath was cold, calculating. Then it snapped back into place. This is ridiculous. Emma, you're getting yourself into serious trouble with these accusations. Cruz stood, blocking the door, not threatening, just present. Jonesy rose too, his voice like gravel. Seems like the kid's pretty specific for someone who's just confused. Garrett's jaw tightened. I don't appreciate what you're insinuating. I'm a respected educator. I've worked with troubled children for 15 years. Then you won't mind us calling that principal, Hawk said. What was the name? Davies. It's after hours, so we'll call her Cell. Hawk's voice remained calm, but his hand had moved to his belt. Not to a weapon, he wasn't carrying one, just a position of readiness. Betty, you got your phone? Betty was already pulling it out, hands shaking slightly. What's the school's name, honey? Riverside Elementary, Emma said. Please hurry. Garrett's composure cracked further. This is harassment. I could have you all arrested for interfering with a guardian's rights. Guardian? Cruz spoke for the first time, his accent slight but clear. Thought you said you were a counselor. Those are different things. The man's eyes flickered between the 3 bikers, calculating odds. His hand moved toward his pocket. Hawk moved faster. Not violent, just intercepting. His hand caught Garrett's wrist. Let's keep our hands where everyone can see them. Garrett tried to pull away. Get your hands off me. This is assault. Jonesy was there suddenly, his bulk making the space feel smaller. Funny thing is, you haven't shown any ID. Haven't proven who you are. Kid says she's not yours. Seems like we got ourselves a situation. Betty's voice came from behind the counter. Hello? Yes, I'm looking for Principal Davies. It's urgent. It's about one of your students, Emma. She paused, listening. Her face went white. She is? Since when? Another pause. I see. Yes. Yes, I'll hold. Emma's voice was barely audible. What did she say? Betty covered the receiver. Principal Davies filed a missing child report this morning when Emma didn't show up for school, and they couldn't reach her parents. They called the emergency contact. The counselor, Mr. Garrett, said he'd drive by her house to check on her. The room went dead silent. Garrett's expression transformed. The practiced warmth evaporated, leaving something colder, harder. You people have no idea what you're doing. Pretty sure we do, Hawk said quietly. His grip hadn't loosened. Betty, tell the principal to call the police. Tell them we've got Emma and she's safe. Tell them to hurry. Already doing it. Betty's voice shook, but held firm. Garrett smiled then, and it was nothing like the expression he'd worn before. This one was cruel, empty. You think this matters? Think one little girl's word against mine means anything? I'm a pillar of this community. I counsel children. I sit on the school board. And you? He looked at the bikers with open disdain. You're nobody. Criminals, probably. You think anyone's going to believe you over me? Hawk's voice dropped lower, colder. Don't need them to believe me. Need them to believe her. And need them to look close enough to find what you've been hiding. Something flickered in Garrett's eyes. Fear, maybe. Or calculation. Emma spoke again, her voice small but clear. He has a storage unit, number 42, at the facility by the highway. He doesn't know I saw the key. It fell out of his pocket during art class. I memorized the number because... Her voice broke. Because Sarah used to be my friend. The confession hung in the air like smoke. One of the truckers moved suddenly, his coffee forgotten. I'm blocking the parking lot. Ain't nobody leaving till the cops show. The second trucker nodded. I'll help. Garrett lunged then, surprising them with his speed. He broke Hawk's grip, shoving Emma backward. She stumbled, hitting the counter hard, but Cruz was there, catching her before she fell. Garrett ran for the door. He made it 3 steps before Jonesy's arm clotheslined him. The man went down hard, air knocked from his lungs. Hawk was on him immediately, knee in his back, arms pulled behind him. "Don't move," Hawk said. No anger in his voice, just certainty. Garrett thrashed, shouting, "This is assault. I'll sue every one of you. You have no right." "Right or wrong," Jonesy rumbled. "You ain't going nowhere." Betty's voice cut through. "Police are 2 minutes out. They're sending multiple units." Emma stood frozen, Cruz's hand still steadying her shoulder. Tears finally came, silent, streaming down her face. Not from fear now, from something breaking loose inside. "You did good, kid," Cruz said quietly. "Real good." "He said nobody would believe me," she whispered. "He said I was nobody, that my parents left me so it didn't matter." Hawk looked back at her, still pinning Garrett to the floor. "You were wrong about one thing." Emma blinked at him through tears. "You said you're not anyone's family right now." His voice softened just slightly. "Road takes care of its own. Has since before you were born. You ran to us for help. That makes you ours to protect. Nobody touches you while we're breathing." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Garrett had gone still, face pressed against the linoleum, breathing hard. When he spoke, his voice was barely audible. "You don't understand. There are others, people who will. Then they can come find us," Jonesy said. His tone carried no bravado, just statement of fact. "We'll be waiting. If you're still here," heart pounding, ask yourself, would you have believed the little girl? Or the respectable adult? Keep watching, because what they found next exposed a nightmare no one saw coming. This is Storysphere, where real heroes wear leather. The police arrived in a storm of lights and sound. 4 cars, 2 detective units, officers flooding the diner with procedures and questions. But through it all, the bikers stayed close to Emma, not speaking for her, just present. A wall of leather and steel between a scared child and a world that had failed her. Detective Sarah Morrison took Emma's statement gently, professionally. Emma's voice strengthened as she talked, details pouring out that she'd held inside for months. "Sarah Martinez," Emma said again, insistent. "Storage Unit 42. Please, you have to check. She might still." Morrison nodded, already on her radio. "We're sending units now." An hour later, when they found the storage unit and broke the lock, they found more than they'd prepared for. Not just evidence. Sarah Martinez, alive, dehydrated, and traumatized, but breathing. And documentation of others, names, locations, a network that stretched beyond one man, beyond one town. Through it all, the bikers stayed. They gave their statements, answered questions, endured the skeptical looks from some officers who saw the vests and made assumptions. But Morrison knew better. Heroism didn't care about appearance. When Emma's parents finally arrived, having caught the first flight back from Seattle, her mother collapsed to her knees in the diner parking lot, holding her daughter like she'd never let go. Emma pulled back just enough to point at the bikers. "They saved me. He was right there, and they didn't let him take me." Her father approached Hawk, hand extended, voice thick. "Thank you. God, thank you. If you hadn't..." Hawk shook his hand once, firm. "Your daughter saved herself. She's the one who spoke up, who remembered details, who was brave enough to run. We just stood in the way." As the sun set behind the diner, Detective Morrison approached the bikers one last time. "Storage unit had evidence of 17 victims," she said quietly. "Some as far back as 5 years. Without Emma's testimony, without you keeping him here." She didn't finish. Didn't need to. The bikers mounted their motorcycles as darkness fell. Emma ran over, small and quick, and pressed something into Hawk's hand. A drawing on the back of a diner napkin. 3 motorcycles, 3 riders, and 1 small figure standing between them and a shadow. Above it in careful letters, Heroes. Hawk looked at it for a long moment, then carefully folded it and tucked it into his vest pocket. You keep being brave, Emma. World needs more people like you. Will I see you again? She asked. He smiled, the expression softening his weathered face. Roads long, kid. Crosses paths more than you'd think. The engines roared to life, deep and powerful. As they pulled onto the highway, they rode into the night. 3 shadows against the darkening sky. Months later, Hawk received a letter. Inside, a photograph. Emma standing between her parents, holding an award, the principal's medal for courage. Her smile was real, reaching her eyes. The note read, "Because of what happened, they investigated the whole school district. They found 2 more people like Mr. Garrett. They're all going to prison for a really long time. Detective Morrison said I helped save 23 kids by speaking up. My parents got me a dog. Her name is Harley. Thank you for standing when you could have sat. Thank you for believing me when he said nobody would. I'm going to be brave every day just like you taught me. Your friend, Emma. P.S. I'm learning to ride a bicycle. Maybe someday I'll get a motorcycle too." Hawk read the letter twice, then passed it to Jonesy and Cruz. "Kid's doing good," Cruz said. "Better than good," Jonesy agreed. Hawk carefully refolded the letter and tucked it into his vest, right next to the napkin drawing. Road provided when she needed it. That's all that matters. If the story shook you, if it reminded you that real monsters wear smiles, and real heroes sometimes wear leather, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to Storysphere right now. Drop a comment and tell us, have you ever trusted your gut when no one else would? Your story might save someone, because sometimes the smallest voice carries the biggest truth. Thank you for watching Storysphere. We'll see you on the next ride.